In this lesson, we will focus on the crucial aspects of testing and debugging your student grade management system application. Testing ensures that your application behaves as expected and handles edge cases gracefully, while debugging helps you identify and resolve any issues that arise during testing. Don't worry if this feels new at first. This section covers understanding testing in C#. Testing is the process of executing a program to find errors or bugs. It's essential to validate that your application meets its requirements and performs its intended functions. In C#, testing can be divided into several types. First, unit testing tests individual components or functions for correctness. Also, integration testing ensures that different components of the application work together as expected. Finally, functional testing validates that the application functions correctly from the user's perspective. Now, setting up unit testing with NUnit. To perform unit testing in C#, we can use the NUnit testing framework. Follow these steps to set up NUnit in your project. First, open your student grade management system project in Visual Studio. Next, right-click on the solution in the Solution Explorer and select Add New Project. Then, choose NUnit Test Project and name it Student Grade Management Tests. Then, add a reference to your main project by right-clicking on References in the test project, selecting Add Reference, and checking your main project. Finally, install the NUnit and NUnit 3 test adapter packages via new Get Package Manager. Let's move on to writing your first test. Now that you have set up NUnit, let's write a simple test for a method that calculates a student's average grade. Assume you have a method calculateAverage in your main application that takes a list of grades and returns the average. See the example on this slide. Pause if you want to study the details. To test this method, create a new test class in your test project. This slide introduces a class definition. Study the structure in the code sample. In this example, we created a test case that checks if the average of the grades 80, 90, and 100 returns 90. To run the tests, go to the Test Explorer in Visual Studio and click on Run All. Debugging common issues. Let's dig in. During testing, you may encounter errors or unexpected behavior. Here are some common issues and how to debug them. First, null reference exception. This occurs when trying to access a member of an object that's null. Use breakpoints to inspect variable values and ensure they're initialized. Also, index out-of-range exception. This happens when accessing an index that's outside the bounds of an array or list. Verify that your indices are valid before accessing them. Finally, logic errors. These are bugs that cause the program to behave incorrectly without throwing exceptions. Use debugging tools to step through your code and inspect the flow of execution. In this lesson, we learned the importance of testing and debugging in C#. We set up NUnit for unit testing and wrote our first test for the calculateAverage method. Also, we discussed common issues encountered during testing and how to debug them effectively. Now put what you've learned into practice. First, add more test cases to cover edge scenarios for the calculateAverage method, such as an empty list and a null list. Also, create a new method in your application that determines if a student has passed based on their average grade, e.g., passing grade is 70. Finally, write unit tests for the new method you created to ensure it behaves correctly.